Once again, a very warm welcome to the program. This is the Morning Call. I am Nyasha K. Mutiswa. Now we kick off the show in Algeria. After almost 10 months of massive demonstrations, 24 million Algerian voters were called to the polls to find a successor to deposed former President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, a vote massively rejected by a large part of the population that marks its disapproval by abstaining from voting. Preliminary results are expected today, that is Friday, with official results later this month and a possible second round runoff in early January, Ruth.
Indeed, Nyasha, the election was held in Algeria despite the protests led by the Hirak movement. An estimated crowd of tens of thousands of people took to the streets in the capital despite the routine and at times brutal interventions by the police.
And now to find out more about this contentious election, we're joined on the line by Africanews correspondent Tarik Hafid, joining us from the capital, that is Algiers. Good morning, Tarik. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Now, Algerians were called to the polls yesterday, on Thursday, to elect their new president. So how did the voting take place?
La journée était très mouvementée à Alger. Dès les premières heures de la matinée, des milliers de personnes sont descendues dans les rues pour dénoncer la tenue de cette élection. Une première grande marche a débuté à Belouizdad, quartier populaire connu sous le nom de Bellecour durant la colonisation. Les marcheurs se sont dirigés vers le centre de la capitale.
The day was very hectic in the capital, Algiers. In the early hours of the morning, thousands of people took to the streets to protest the holding of this election. A first major protest was held in Belouizdad, which was normally known as Belkout during colonization. The protests, who headed towards the center of the capital, encountered several police roadblocks. In the middle of the afternoon, demonstrators finally managed to reach the Palace Maurice Oudin and then the Grand Post, and they were joined by another procession of marchers. If there's any symbolic image to remember, is that the demonstrators were very peaceful and they allowed even a procession of police to pass. But once the night fell, police returned to prevent any gathering in the center of Algiers, and during the day, police carried out numerous arrestations.
Tarik Hafid,
So, Tarik, the election was also turbulent in other cities across the country, as was the case in Kabylie. Can you tell us more about the reported clashes? Indeed, in Kabylie region, once again, it indicated that its total rejection of any electoral operation. And in Béjaïa, in Tizi Ouzou, and in Boura, voting centers were closed by the citizens. Some polling stations were even vandalized. The situation remained very tense, particularly in Tichi, a seaside town in Béjaïa region, where automatic weapons were heard. Shots were heard, and according to initial reports, the gendarmes fired warning shots to disperse the crowds who had gathered around the brigade, and anti-election demonstrations also took place in several major cities across the country. And in addition, one death was recorded in the western part of the country. The victim is a member of the local staff of the candidate Al-Bijamid Tebboune, who was in charge of monitoring the electoral process.
So, Tarik, what about the results of this election? It seems that Algerians might have to wait a little bit longer before they can know the name of their new president.
There
are still no official results. The president of the Independent National Electoral Authority, Mohamed Shafi, announced at midnight that the president's name will be made public this afternoon at 3 p.m. Shafi has just given the national participation rate of 41.14% of the diaspora rate, and the diaspora rate at 8.69%, giving the overall rate at 39% of the 24 million voters. Only 9.6 voted, which is about 40%, and this gives a very high abstention rate for such a large part. And one candidate, the candidate of one side, was quickly to declare themselves victor of the election, but the situation remains very unclear since the possibility of a second round was insisted on during the evening, a second round that could put Al-Bimajid Tubin against Abdelkader Bengrina, a face-to-face meeting between the former Prime Minister and an Islamist.